My name is Harris Deller. I'm from Carbondale, Illinois. I did my graduate work at Cranbrook Academy of Art in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and before that I got a BA from Cal State Northridge in Northridge, California. I taught at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale for about 45 years. Retired about 10 years ago and have a studio behind my house that I've been working in for about 10 years. When I taught, the university provided a studio, so we were encouraged to work on campus. And as soon as I retired, I got off campus and got my own studio. And I'm able to go into the studio every day. It's just like maybe 30, 40 feet behind the house. It's a nice space. And sometimes I sit and don't do anything and just look around and wonder about what I should do, and other times most of the times I find something to do, and usually pretty much work every day if I'm at home. You know, I came in '75, and I think in the early, well, you know, some of those people were ceramicists. A number of people left and went to New York and really did well for themselves. A guy named Jimmy Wright, a guy named Arch Conley, several others whose names I can't remember. And yes, several of them were ceramic majors at that time. There was a gentleman named Nick Vergette who taught there, who unfortunately passed away way too early in his career, who really he seemed to have an ability to draw people in. I came in '75, and I don't want to say I replaced Vergette, because I don't think anyone could have really replaced him. When I got there, you got that impression of this gentleman really had a lot of charisma. But yeah, I was there for, probably headed ceramics for at least 40 years, and we did pretty well for ourselves. I can't complain. The university did well for itself. When I left, there was 23,000 people, and unfortunately now it's down to 11,000. So the art department itself was pretty vibrant. I think we were rated in the top 30 for U.S. News and World Report for an MFA program most of the time I was there, and it was a pretty vibrant place. Right. Well, there were several. I was hired by a guy named Brent Kington, who was a metalsmith who was also from Cranbrook, and there were several other faculty members. I think a painter named Larry Bernstein, who was from Cranbrook, Alden Addington, who taught sculpture. So there were several other faculty members there from Cranbrook. So this idea of identity, which also, I mean, the idea of being able to recognize a work of art not by the signature, but by the work itself, stands out for the person who made it, that there's something there that lets you know this was made by so-and-so. And in a lot of ways, it's something that I've sort of followed or kept to over the years, but it's also become a ball and chain. There's this idea of, you know, how can I diverge from that, and how far can I diverge from that and still it be recognizable as part of my body of work. So that's sort of a rule of thumb that I've sort of stuck with in my studio practice. So I work in porcelain, which I've stuck to. I work in a high fire, which fired at cone 10, and by today's standards, I'm sort of a dinosaur in that regard. Most people are firing at much lower temperatures and, you know, saving gas or saving energy, that sort of thing. I used to work on the wheel, and I tend to hand build a lot more now, just because it's a lot easier physically on my body to hand build. I'm wedded to the vessel. I really like the ceramic vessel as a vehicle or a jumping off point. The work, I would say, is very sculptural, though. It's not utilitarian, although in recent years I have gone back to making more utilitarian things, and it's enjoyable, it's fun. I began working with utilitarian work. Well, when I first began my career, utility was just not getting any attention. I think everyone was looking for ceramics with content, and it wasn't enough to, you know, a bowl or a cup wasn't enough content, basically. There had to be something in addition to that. And so I first started by doing these cups that were a marriage between the handle and the vessel itself, and the handle sort of penetrated the volume. And the volume was very Zoftig, soft, very female-like, and the handle was very tubular, and basically there was that penetration. And then the coloration went along with it. the vessel is usually white with a nice red interior, very passionate kind of interior, with a very subtle red penetrating into the interior. And I sort of followed that for a long time into teapots and other forms that sort of had a sense of fertility to them. And at some point in time, I wanted to, I would say the work was, I was always interested in contour over volume. And so sometimes along the way I began to basically suppress the volume or make a work that was more visual, and that you would take it would be tactile to the eye which I know that's something that can't be, because tactility is about touch and feel the fingers, but I was trying to engage the eye more, and so the profile and contour of the piece became much more important to me. And I was doing some reading about Sèvres ware and how they were made for the mantle, and a mantle, and I started thinking about making things for a mantle, basically. So I began to collapse or squeeze the pieces together and the forms together, and I was still working with pretty much the same forms I was working with, except I was flattening them. And that's pretty much where I'm at today. I mean, I continue to do that. I've got some newer work that's three-dimensional, and some even newer work that's also much more three-dimensional, and I'm not sure where that's going to go yet. But it is nice to not know. Very nice not to know, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to be able to make something in the studio and be surprised by it. You know, I'm honored that you've asked me to show here. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's not like people are beating down the door to exhibit my work. And I don't know, it's a nice city, it's a nice place, it's a nice gallery, it's a nice facility. I'm showing with some people who I respect. I mean, all of the people I'm showing with I respect, so why not?